Do you ever find yourself running low on energy throughout the day, but you can't stand the taste of coffee? Well, great news. I have a remedy for that. It's called Raise Energy by Rep Sports. You're probably thinking, oh great, another energy drink with loads of sugar. But nope. Raise Energy takes a giant leap of faith with instilling a high-quality formula to bring the consumer a powerful yet sustained energetic experience to help push your workouts and focus in general to the very next level. With zero sugar and zero calories, that means zero crash. Perfect for anyone at any time. Raise Energy has become the most popular and best rated energy drink on the market to date, with a phenomenal flavor profile that puts most competitors to shame. So head on over to repsports.com, that's REPP sports.com, and receive 15% off your entire purchase when you enter promo code Third Eye at checkout. Again, that's promo code Third Eye at checkout. See what all the hype is about, and let's raise together.
For my goals, I'm close, I know. You ain't got to me so, 'cause I already know. Got my eye on the goal, too close, I know. You ain't got to tell me so, 'cause I already know.
I was summoned by God to be the greatest.
Welcome to another episode of Third Eye Podcast, the podcast that is dedicated to creating open dialogue and conversation regarding any and all difficult topics. I am your host, Marcus Callahan, and thank you for joining me. Well, it has been quite the week. The season 3 premiere has been well received by many and not so well received by many. But that's to be expected when you are talking about something as controversial as the flat earth theory. In any case, I am very grateful that the YouTube version of the episode is doing so well. Honestly, I'm just grateful to have so many people tune in and actually view it. But now that I've sort of come down from that high, it's time to refocus and get into this week's episode, which is perseverance. By definition, perseverance is a continued effort to do or achieve something despite its difficulties, failure, or opposition. In life, we are often faced with challenges, and some rise to the occasion while others fall. Now, let me just preface this with saying that it is 100% okay to fall. Everybody does at some point. What matters is how many times you get up after falling. Perseverance is often the difference between success and failure. And giving up is one of the easiest things to do because it requires very little effort, if any at all. So many times during my life, I've wanted to quit or give up. And there have been times that I did, but I found that the little things that are most important to me, I've always found a way to get back up and keep going. You know, one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life was go to couples counseling. And, I've talked about that experience before in older episodes. But for a long time, I wanted to quit therapy because it made me feel gross about myself. It made me really look within myself and to take my flaws head on. And more often than not, what I saw staring back at me was an embarrassment. But I thank my lucky stars that I persevered through and kept with it, because the relationship that I have with my wife now is the best one we've ever had. We talk more, we laugh more, we open up to each other more. Had I given up, who knows where I'd be today? I most certainly wouldn't be doing this podcast. And perseverance can be something small as well. Even something as small as continuing to go to work every day at a job that you hate because you know that the bills have to get paid. And I mean, that's an entirely different conversation that needs to be had. And we'll come back to that on a later episode. But the point that I'm trying to make is that perseverance is something that we are all capable of. And it all comes down to willpower and heart. And most of the time, it takes more than heart. With that being said, let's introduce this week's guest. He is a retired pilot, coach, and author of the book Takes More Than Heart, Changing the Journey's Challenges into Opportunities. Here is a small teaser for his book. Take a listen.
Man, I don't feel so good. Come on, Mel. You've done this 100 times. What's wrong with you today? Maybe I should stop and get a drink.
In a matter of minutes, a veteran pilot's career is over. A dream he's had since he was 10 years old. Years of hard work and commitment, gone. How do you recapture the thrill of loving a job that never really felt like work? When life's challenges beat you down, what do you do after coming up short? Where do you go after facing a life-changing health problem or a career-ending injury? What do you do after your business fails? Fall down 7 times. Get up 8 times. You're looking for a do-over. Are you looking for that career change to reignite your passion? For every great challenge, there's a new opportunity. Turn life's challenges into your next big move. Pre-order. Takes More Than Heart. Your next big journey starts now.
Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Dennis Mellen.
Good morning, Marcus.
Morning, Dennis. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Pretty good. I'm sorry for the late start. I was having some technical difficulties.
Well, it happens sometimes with all this things having to sync up. Huh?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for agreeing to come onto my podcast.
Are you? We're actually doing a podcast, or is this is actually a interview for one, or how are you working this?
Yeah. Just gonna be like a interview. I just have a couple questions and yeah.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm ready. I got stuff both ways. So tell me about this third eye. Where does that come in?
So the third eye, I came up with that just because it's associated with opening your mind and seeing beyond. And I think in order to do that, it all starts with being able to communicate properly. So my goal is to have meaningful conversations and get people to open up and start having the conversations we need to be having.
Oh, okay. That's kind of like that the Indian concept where they put the eye on their forehead type thing.
Yep.
All right, that's a good concept.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. So first and foremost, I have to ask, because we are living in stranger times these days. How are you and your family doing with COVID?
Actually doing pretty well. We're almost all vaccinated, and everybody has stayed safe. Nobody's caught it yet, so that's good. How
That's
about yours?
that's very good. Yeah, pretty much the same.
Yeah,
Um, we've all been able to avoid catching it, and we've tried to stay pretty healthy. I'm fully vaccinated. My wife is not. We just found out she's pregnant,
yeah.
so we're.
Well, congratulations on that, but it's a
Thank
scary
you.
time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So her primary physician said that she would rather her wait till more information comes out regarding pregnancy and the vaccine.
yeah. Okay. Well, man, just continue with the precautions, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Uh, so for those who aren't familiar with your work, tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to writing this book.
Well, there's two different routes on this. One is the leadership training that I do. I do one-on-one training, and I have like a workshop and training sessions that I do. The other thing is more to do with the book. I started out as a 10-year-old wanting to be a pilot. I was at my father's Air Force base looking up at the airplanes flying overhead, and I go, "Hey, that's pretty cool. That's what I want to do when I grow up." Of course, my wife says I haven't reached that point yet, uh, but from 10 years old, I had a singleness of purpose. I wanted to be a professional pilot. But at age 56, out mountain bike riding in Western Washington State, I had a heart attack. And for one day, I'm up flying, thinking about how cool this is, that I'm still doing this after 30 years. And the next day, I can't fly anymore.
Wow.
So it was kind of a journey to find my new purpose and my new why over the last well, it's been 12 years now. So, but I found my purpose and my new why. So, and my friends had been encouraging me to write a book. The book is Takes More Than Heart, changing the journey's challenges into opportunities. Um, and they were encouraging me to do it. And I said, nobody wants to hear about Dennis Mellen and poor Dennis Mellen, this and that. And they kept encouraging me, and I finally sat down and started writing when COVID hit back in February, March, and it just started coming out. And as it developed into a story that applies to not only somebody that's had a serious health condition, but also business failures or athletes that have had injuries, maybe even career-ending injuries. So there's a lot of stuff in there, some nuggets that people can take away, I think, and I think it's making a difference from what I've heard from some of the testimonials and friends that have read it, and other and associates and just strangers that have come up to me saying, "Hey, it's a good book." So feel good about it.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Um, so it's called Takes More Than Heart,
That's
correct?
correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um, you wrote the book after not being able to be a pilot anymore,
Yeah.
right? I know you just said that, you had people telling you all about, that maybe you should write a book, get into that. But doing something like that, it's a huge undertaking. So it literally does take more than heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like how did you keep yourself going?
Well, at the time there wasn't we're all pretty much locked down and quarantined. We were all deathly afraid there for the first few months. I didn't have the speaking engagements, kind of dried up because we couldn't go face to face, and virtual meetings hadn't really caught on yet. So I just decided to sit down and say, well, I'll start it. I thinking this would be a long drawn out process. So I had a kind of a timeline set up, and I filled in some of the details, and then I looked at it and I go, well, there's about 30 or 40 pages. Now what? So luckily, I had been keeping a journal over the last few years of anecdotes, things that had happened to me, uh, events, and what I thought about them. And I think a journal is the guy's macho guy's way of saying diary, but yeah,
Right,
essentially.
right, right.
So I started referring back to that. And I go, oh, this will fit right here, and I can make this. And all of a sudden, things start coming together, and next thing you know, I got 160 or so pages, and I started sending it out to editors to get it finalized so that it made sense and was kept to somewhat of a organized timeline
Right.
of the 12-year journey here. So it was there were nights where I was up all night sometimes, or I'd wake up and hey, this is a great idea, and rather than lose it, I would get up like 1 in the morning and write until 3 or 4 in the morning. It was,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Inspiration can hit at any time. And I've found that out with doing this podcast. Sometimes I can be in bed and then I get an idea and then I shoot up and I have to go write in my journal.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I definitely understand that. So why do you personally think that this book is needed in today's society?
Well, think about all the adjustments we've had to make in the last year. I mean, I look at, for instance, my brother-in-law, um, Edgar Gabriel, has a website called String Fusion, and he's a professional musician. He plays the violin and does a lot of gigs for everything from weddings to clubs and bars to orchestras. Well, the pandemic hit, and that all dried up.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of going, oh poor me, he goes, I've got to do something. So I found him one day. He was teaching a violin class of 5 people on Zoom, and the students were clear over in Sweden. And I was saying, what a great pivot! And it's exactly what the book is about: is fall down 7 times, get up 8. The old adage, Japanese adage there. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things of you can sit back and just go, oh, well, this is the way it is, and do nothing and just let events unfold and outcomes happen. Or you can try and influence those outcomes, because we don't have control. You and I don't have control of when the next pandemic is, or when the next challenge that comes to our family or your business.
Right.
So we have to pivot. We have to have some sort of philosophy that gets us to move on, get back up, and keep fighting. So I think that's where the appeal is in the book, and that's the feedback I'm getting. So it must have been on topic.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I could definitely see why this book is so needed, because I mean, you're absolutely right. Fall down 7 times, you got to get back up, and you have to find, like you said earlier, you have to find your why, right?
Right.
And a lot of people struggle with that, especially during these times. But I've heard from a lot of friends and from a lot of people that I've talked to on this podcast that this pandemic really opened their eyes, and they realized they couldn't really rely on the corporations that they thought they could. So they had to get resourceful, and a lot of people started businesses, wrote books, did a whole lot of things that they never thought that they could do. And yeah, it takes more than heart. I definitely think your book is definitely needed.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Hopefully, it's a page turner for anybody that picks it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So in addition to being an author, you are a trainer and coach, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So what does that all entail, and how did you get into that line of work?
Well, as I said, as things evolve after the heart attack, I went through a period of complete devastation. This was my lifelong journey, was to be retire as a professional pilot, And it's kind of like inverted lifestyle. You know, an 18-year-old graduated from high school has gone through the angst of what do I do now? Do I uh, go to work? Do I uh, go to school? Which college do I go to? What am I going to do for the rest of my life?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had a singleness of purpose since 10 years old until age 56. And then it was like, that was my 18-year-old with angst. Now, what do I do? Plus, you know, who's going to hire an old guy when they can get somebody younger and maybe even pay him less, you know? So there was a period of time there where things were, borderline depression, or you could actually call it depression. And one of my neighbors came over and started talking to me. He'd gone through something similar, and he just kept asking me, "What are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do?" It would be like, "Marcus, you know, the world's turned upside down. What are you going to do?" And so I gradually got into the process of the LinkedIn, uh, uh, all those job sites, Glassdoor, you know, the revolving door of that, trying to put applications out, trying to find that new purpose. And at first it was all aviation related, but it wasn't flying, so it really wasn't for me. So it eventually evolved, and I said, what do I like doing? And I noticed that I could volunteer at the local high school to coach baseball. And so I went and got all the prerequisites for that, the coaching, the first aid, getting to know more about baseball than I ever wanted to ever thought I'd need to know. And the local high school picked me up here, and then it started into, well, what else do I like to do? I said, well, I'm an older guy. I've got some experience. How can I take those experiences so that somebody younger, say, hey, I find Marcus says, hey, well, this happened to me, and this is what I did. Have you thought about doing something like this, or thought about looking at it from this perspective? So if I could just make a difference with one person at a time, that became my new purpose. So then I eventually started looking at athletic mental performance certifications, and then I found the John Gordon Power of Positive Leadership certification. That's what the gold medallion is on the background there.
Okay.
Certified trainer. So Power of Positive Leadership. And then I thought, well, if I'm doing in groups, I certainly can do it one-on-one. You know, it'd be like, Marcus, let me help you with your leading your company, leading your team or whatever. So it eventually evolved into that. And it's basically taken whatever experiences I have. My friends will say that I have limited knowledge, but the experience is there. So I can, they always give me a hard time, but I can try and relate to whatever challenge is facing the leader that is looking for some more tools for their toolbox, for their leadership toolbox. Somebody is trying to improve. So that's how it evolved into. And so far, it's been a blast. I'm really enjoying it.
That's great, man. I recently started coaching my son's flag football team.
Yeah.
And I have to say it has been one of the most challenging things I have ever done. We're 4 weeks in, and I still have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So for anyone who wants to get into coaching, life, whether it be coaching, sports, life coach, anything like that, like what advice would you give to someone starting out?
Well, one is find a good mentor.
Okay.
Find a good mentor that's gone through a similar route, or find a mentor that looks like they're the paragon of coaching. Now they'll have plenty of things to relate to you, of mistakes that they've made. The other thing is there are so many books out there to help you with coaching. There's what is it, Dr. Corey Dobbs, and there's a friend of mine, Chris Busick, that does I've forgotten exactly what it's mental mental performance coaching, something like that. But anyway, there's plenty of books out there, things to read about, and what it does is it doesn't. There's no dramatic change like, oh, I read this book and now all of a sudden I'm doing really well. But it's that incremental, making that much difference each time, that each little lesson that you give. There's so many things out there that are great inspirational stories and little nuggets that you pick up here and there. So just make it if you're going to coach and you're going to coach for a long time, then become a lifelong coach. Never stop learning. You know.
Absolutely. I like that you said never stop learning, because that is a philosophy that I live by.
Yeah.
Never stop learning, and I'm always trying to better myself. Not only myself, but those who I surround myself with. Uh, I want all of us to learn and grow. Because I mean that's the only way you progress in life, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. It's the whole growth mindset with versus fixed mindset.
Hmm.
And you've seen plenty of fixed mindsets. The older guys that have basically nobody comes to them anymore for advice, so they've just checked out. They've gone to what I call Geezerville, sitting in the Barker Lounger with the remote cool drink and trying to figure out whether they're going to watch Oprah or Wheel of Fortune today.
Right.
That's the excitement for the day.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so you mentioned earlier that there are little nuggets of knowledge inside your book. If you could tease just one little nugget, what would it be?
Well, what I tell my baseball players is, there's a philosophy, WIN, win. It's an
Hmm.
acronym, and it can stand for what's important next or what's important now. And it's like, it's the idea that whatever's happened, that's in the scorebook. Whatever's happened in your business, that's in your ledger somewhere. Um, and the future, you don't know what's happening there, but you have to take care of this moment. Take care of and the analogy I use is if I live outside of Chicago, so if you and I are driving from Chicago down to Disney World, we can choose a bunch of different routes. We can go through Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville. Eventually, they all lead to Disney World.
Hmm.
Some are shorter, some are more scenic, some have traffic accidents and detours and things like that. But we have to keep in mind that we're going to Disney World. And just like when you drive, you know your destination, but you have to take care of the next 200 feet. And then once you take care of that 200 feet, the next 200 feet, and the next 200 until the final 200 feet, now we're at Disney World. So the key to it is what's important right now. That win
Right.
philosophy. Take care of what's in front of you, but keep in mind where you're going. So that's the nugget I would leave you.
Absolutely, man. And that's a very good nugget. It's a very good piece of uh, advice to go by. So thank you very much for that. Where can my listeners find your book? And are you on any social media platforms where they can follow you?
Yeah, I'm on almost all of them. I haven't quite figured out TikTok yet, but then old guys, it takes a little while. The gears do start. But yeah, it's on Facebook. It's Be a Bean, Dennis Mellen. Be a Bean's one word, Dennis Mellen the other one. At Be a Bean 14 for Twitter and Instagram.
Okay.
And then what's the LinkedIn is just Dennis Mellen. And where that and then my websites are the book website is takes more than heart, just like the title, takes more than heart.com. And then there's a beabean.net where you can pick up some of the other things there. I guess that's about all that's in there. If you want, the book is available on all the usual platforms. Amazon. They can contact me through my Takes More Than Heart website. You can purchase it there. Or if you contact me directly, I can send one to you and send you a signed copy, which will work out too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That sounds great, man. Well, you heard it from Dennis himself. Go check him out on his social media platforms. Give him a follow, and please go check out his book. Takes More Than Heart. You can find it at takesmorethanheart.com. Dennis, thank you so much for agreeing to be on my podcast and doing this interview.
Okay, I really appreciate the opportunity, Marcus, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Hopefully, I can get you back on for a future.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'd like that.
All right, man. Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining me for another episode of Third Eye Podcast. I want to give a special shout out to Dennis Mellen for coming on and being a guest. Please go check out his book, takesmorethanheart.com. You can get it. Special shout out to sponsor for this episode, Raise Energy, one of the best energy drinks I've had, hands down. You can get it at repsports.com. Make sure you use promo code Third Eye at checkout. That's the number 3RDEYE. Yeah. Third Eye at checkout. Repsports.com. Join me next week for another episode. And next week's episode, it's going to be a good one. You're going to enjoy it. But you know the deal, guys. I love you all, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So please love each other and be kind to one another. I'll talk to you guys next week.